La La Land is the kind of movie that people love it so much. It's the kind of movie that if you have the slightest criticism of, they will tell you have no soul. It's one of those kinds of movies.
Yes.
But I did have problems with it. I mean, first of all, it's right in my wheelhouse. It's a love of it's all about Los Angeles love.
Right.
And it's about a group of people that, I grew up with. I was one of them, very passionate and about the arts and very dreamy about its meaning and in their lives and stuff like that. I mean, I know those people. So I think the main thing that is wrong with it for me is that it only has like 1.5 good songs in it. And I say 1.5 because one of them is like barely a song. It's like a verse that they repeat throughout the movie. And then the final number is really, really good. But there is some good music in it because he's a jazz pianist. There's a lot of good music from him in it, Ryan Gosling. I like it. I like it very much, and I'm so glad that they made a true throwback movie like this, and it has all the innocence and naivete of the musicals of the past. It's not very imaginative in its choreography, but it's kind of, the musical numbers are kind of subdued, almost to a point where almost like normal people, how they would, and we've seen this before in stuff like maybe Pennies from Heaven, or even though that had a Chris Walken showstopper in it.
Or Umbrellas of Cherbourg, I think. Umbrellas of Cherbourg is, I think, a movie that's talked about.
Which the movie that it's drawing a lot of comparisons to, especially for the end of it, and it is the best 20-minute ending I've seen this year. It's one of the most emotional final sequences. I will say that. I mean, I was really moved by the end of the movie. And they both have lovely voices. I don't think enough people are talking about Ryan Gosling. Emma Stone is kind of overshadowing him, but he's really good in it. And Emma Stone has, in that final scene, she's singing for the most part to camera, just her, and it's all on her face. It's beautifully done. It's colorful to look at it. I mean, it's nice to look at. There's an opening number. The closest it gets to a show-stopping number. They're on an LA freeway, stuck in traffic, like an overpass, and the entire population of cars that are stuck on the road all exit their cars into a musical number. And first of all, I'm looking at it thinking, my God, what a logistical nightmare. And secondly, I'm saying, how cool was that? Because you have traffic underneath, and people are looking up, and everyone's dancing on top of their cars and stuff, and thinking, God, only in L.A.
Right.
I mean, it's such a bravura sequence like that. But again, the song, I can't tell you the first line of the song from that sequence. And many of the musical sequences don't build. There's very little sense of elation because they don't kind of crescendo, and some of the cuts are really strange. There's a cut where they jump in the pool, and the camera kind of swirls around. And I'm like, oh, cool, we're going to get like a Busby Berkeley kind of thing where the girls in the pool and the different patterns and everything. No, that was just like a transition to another scene, and it feels very awkward. But bravo for the effort, I think. And it is deeply felt, that ending. So it's not a top movie for me, but people will absolutely adore it. I mean, they will clutch it to their chest like a endangered child. So be careful what you say bad about it.
Yeah, I mean,
get ready for the hate mail.
Yeah, no, but I mean, do you think this is a movie that will have I mean, we're talking right now about art house audiences and just critics. Are we, who've seen it? I mean, do you think this is something that will have mass appeal?
If they, we were talking about this when we left the movie. I mean, it's hard not to like it. I mean, it is an audience-pleasing movie. But some people did leave early on because some people just can't take unmotivated singing. Singing that's different from what you see in like a Pitch Perfect or something.
Right.
Old musical type singing where they just break in a song in the middle of conversation. Some people just can't take that. But for those that do stay, they're going to really like it. I mean, it's a great, endearing kind of experience. You can't, you feel like you're kicking a puppy.
You do.
You're really
a puppy, man. You're just kicking a goddamn puppy.
I don't understand how in this age we're confronted with blockbuster movies that ask us to believe in suited heroes flying around the city, fighting with people, and entire buildings being decimated, and there's no real death there, and all that. We're asked to believe all of that stuff, but yet these same people cannot make the jump to believe in people breaking out into song. I don't get that.
I don't know what it is, but I'm curious to see how it'll do. I think it'll do well. Will it do Moulin Rouge well? I don't know. Will it do Swing Kids business?
I predict it's going to do the same numbers that The Artist did. It'll do like 60, 70 million.
Some elements of it were kind of profoundly moving to me for reasons that have nothing to do with the movie itself. I mean, I adore L.A. And they spend a lot of time in one sequence at the Griffith Observatory, actually in two sequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I visited the Griffith Observatory on my last trip there with my girlfriend at the time. So that made me wistful for those moments. That has nothing to do with the movie. But the movie does romanticize L.A. There's also kind of a soft shoe number that Gosling and Emma Stone do at Griffith Park. It's their first number together, which is lovely, but it's very it's charming, but it's very kind of slight.
Mm-hmm.
And they're right there with the Hollywood sign, and you feel like you want that moment of crescendo, and you don't get it. The movie never once shows the Hollywood sign, maybe because it's too obvious. I don't know, but you can feel
I appreciate that.
Opportunities.
I like that they avoided the Hollywood sign because it is. I think it is obvious. But here's my question: do you feel like Chazelle maybe wanted to dial back and the whole musical thing in order to just? I mean, he's obviously someone who's studied musicals, and he's a music student. I mean, I met him in New York, and we talked about playing music. So he's obviously a fan of the genre, but maybe he was thinking, well, I don't want to give the audience just totally like some kind of musical like Oliver or something like that, where it's just like totally, a song after a song after a song, and he just kind of wants to sort of glide them into it a little bit. I mean,
it's designed to be an intimate love letter to Los Angeles and the dreamers who live there. That's what La La Land is. So, I mean, I see what the movie is on its own terms, but when you open your movie with the most bravura, at least from a staging standpoint, sequence, you're primed to expect some more of that.
More of that.
Right.
And it doesn't. And it's also interesting how he is great at filming bands. That's obvious from Whiplash. The interaction between musicians, instruments being played, all of that kind of stuff. I can't think of anyone better working right now that can do that. I can't think of anyone that has tried really. But the thing that he isn't as good at are the show numbers, like people singing to one another and dancing. There's not very dynamic use of camera in those scenes, which is odd because in La La Land, he has scenes of the bands playing and interacting, and they are dynamic, just like in Whiplash. I thought it was an odd kind of thing. I would have thought he would have brought the same level of intensity and ingenuity to the song sequences, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Everything from what you say about the movie, though. I mean, let's be honest. Of course, it's going to be it's about one of the most beautiful cities in the world. First of all, the city itself is like the star of the movie from everything I've read and what you're telling me, and also your description of your reaction to the movie is in itself a rave. Whether you want to admit it or not, your reaction to it is really it does what a movie or what any kind of art should do. So it's definitely created an emotional reaction. That's most movies we go see, or most things we watch or see, we can't even get a decent bowel movement out of it. So you're getting this, and I'm being very serious when I say that.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not beating around the bush here.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot sometimes for movies to give us something, and when they do give us, it's a flood. And I got to read from what you told me, Jamie. If I didn't hear the whole thing, I'd say that you really adore the movie.
I adore the last 20 minutes of it. And I adore elements of it throughout. But I do have reservations about it, which keep me from being fully embracing of it. Some movies, I forget what movie Pauline Kael was talking about. Maybe she was talking about Last Tango or Godfather 2 or something. Some movies you have reservations about, and it doesn't matter. It does not distract from the power of the movie. But this one it did for me. But it ends on a great note. So I would give it a B+. I mean, for me personally.